Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is October 7th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You can see we got a frontal system pushing into the Pacific Northwest. This low pressure system is going to get cut off, and it's going to spin off the coast of Washington, Oregon. It will bring some precipitation to California, and plus we've also got moisture from major hurricane Priscilla down here that will be moving up across some of the southwest portions of the USA, including portions of California. You can see what is left of Octave out there, still producing some deep convection. But Priscilla is what we're worried about here. We're not worried about its winds, but what kind of moisture it's going to bring back up and across the region. We've also got an active look here as we go through the extended forecast. I'm going to show you some of that here in a moment. We'll check it out together. Taking a look at the visible satellite, you can see some nice sunny skies across Northern California. You can see there is some of that marine layer across the Bay Area right along the immediate coast. Once you get down towards Southern California, it intrudes inland a bit here more. And some nice smoke-free skies out there. I got to mention that as well. We're doing really well as far as wildfire smoke is considered across much of the state of California. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station, it's still time to get one of these before our crazy fall weather starts to get here and our winter weather. Click on the link down below to save 10% off. You will not regret purchasing this weather station. Makes it much more fun to watch the weather with one of these attached to your place of residence. So taking a look at where we are right now at 18,000 feet. Again, there's Priscilla down there. There's that closed low that's churning here down the west coast of North America, and that's going to set up shop right off of Washington, Oregon. Try to get down off of Northern California, so you can kind of see how we're getting two completely different systems producing some precipitation across the state. There's Priscilla bringing its moisture northbound, and this system out here, which will bring a couple rounds of precipitation with it as well. And then this one eventually, once it gets kicked off to the east, and then we bring this next system down here. And some of the models, which I'll show you here in a moment, are setting this up a bit further south across California here as well. And first things first, let's take a look at the winds, because I want to point this out. 80-meter wind speeds here. Look at what happens as we go on in through tomorrow afternoon and evening. You can see the winds really start to pick up with the next arrival of this closed low. You can see these winds across some of the higher terrain. So heads up for that if you're off in the backcountry there across the ridge tops of Sierra Nevada, especially. Some very strong winds starting to roll in here. And then you can see these winds start to turn southerly as that system approaches at the very end of the run. So again, Hurricane Priscilla is right there, and we do have additional tropical cyclone development possible after that along the west coast of Mexico. And you can see Tropical Storm Octave still out there. That is no threat to us right now. So here is Priscilla, major hurricane, and the hurricane probably on in through tomorrow evening. Then it rapidly weakens to a storm and just a depression. But again, it is the moisture that we're worried about there. And there are tropical storm watches for some of the coastal areas there, California, Baja Peninsula there. Now, taking a look at Priscilla, you can see it's a pretty good buzzsaw right here. So if you're going at Cabo, I got a buddy driving down here over the next few days. Hope he's watching this here. Watch out for some of these winds and some big waves along the immediate coastline there. But you see the strongest winds do stay right offshore, and then the next tropical system kind of rides up right there. Shouldn't be as strong as Priscilla, but it may take a close pass at Cabo there as we go on in through the upcoming weekend. So heads up for that. Again, to my buddy Rich, who is driving down here over the next couple of days. He's driving four-wheelers and whatnot down around the area, so he may be dealing with some active weather. So taking a look here, precipitable water that you can see, again, there is Priscilla, and again, it's the moisture we were worried about. Look at it, just spread that north all the way up across some of Southern California, and tons of it too, as that system moves up across the area. You can see the big heat transfer process. That is Mother Nature always trying to balance things out, and it spreads that moisture northbound, and then you see the next weak system right there off the coast of Mexico move back across Cabo. So a wider view of that same thing. There's Octave, there's Priscilla right here. There's that next closed low coming out of the north. So that, again, there's that moisture moving back up across the desert southwest. And then if we look at that, you can see that closed low setting up shop here right off of Oregon, California coastlines. So now taking a look at wave action, actually, you can see for Baja, you're bringing some bigger waves, but this is really not bringing much of its swell towards Southern California. It doesn't look like right now anyway. I should probably take the look at the total swell height, and we'll kind of scroll through that here as well. But it doesn't look like much in the wave action reaches Southern California there from Priscilla. Now, also, I like to show this one. This is ocean temperature, and you can really see the heat transfer process. I mean, look at this major hurricane, how it just really bring some of that colder water, stirs things up enough where that cooler water below the surface really comes up towards the surface. So I played through that pretty quickly. You can definitely see the track of Priscilla, at least the forecast track of it. Here as well. Pretty interesting stuff. Now, taking a look at total precipitation in inches. So this is the ensemble mean. This goes out 144 hours. You can see Priscilla's moisture moving across the region. And the high resolution models will start to get into range here a bit more in a moment, but there could be some heavier amounts. I mean, we may even get some precipitation for Orange and Los Angeles County, who have been dealing with some pretty good precipitation deficits there over for a while. I'll show you some of that here in a moment. Some of the surrounding areas have been pretty wet, but Los Angeles and Orange County, it looks like Mother Nature has forgotten and not brought much rain here over the last couple of months. You can also see that initial closed low coming across Northern California. So let's take a look at what the artificial intelligence and a little bit more as we go on in towards the weekend and next week here, and what it has to say. So again, there's Priscilla, there's our closed low. That kicks through and another trough develops, and this one could be even more substantial and more significant here for California, depending on the exact trajectory of this storm. The further to the west this gets and the farther south it drops, the better precipitation you can bring across much of the state. But of course, if you swing this inland, you get more of an inside slider and a much drier system that could potentially move across California. And then you can kind of see that upper level low still with us, and then finally it kicks through. So taking a look at what kind of precipitation that would bring. Again, you can see Priscilla and some of its precipitation move up across the southwest USA. That's the initial closed low right there. But then the next one sets up shop, and you can see brings precipitation all the way down through Southern California. Again, depending on exactly where it sets up. It's kind of a fantasy forecast right now, but just an example of what could potentially happen. And that's pretty significant rainfall across a lot of the state right there. But again, we'll be watching that here over the next few days. Check back if you have any concerns on just what is coming. Now, again, this is the closer look of what we just looked at. There's that upper level low initial one, then the secondary one. Look at that, much bigger amounts and much more substantial rainfall possible with that second system. But again, I got to remind you that that's just a fantasy forecast. Just any kind of shimmy in that track is going to mean much different precipitation totals for virtually the entire state of California. Now, daily 2-meter max temperature, the point I'll try to drive home here is that you can see Tuesday, fairly warm here across a lot of the valley areas. Southern California, get away from the water, you're back up in the mid 80s here. And just away from the water all the way up through Northern California, pretty darn right warm. But look, as we go through Wednesday, Thursday, we dramatically cool a lot of these temperatures here as we bring that next system in. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the takeaway from that is we are going to be cooling down as we go towards this upcoming weekend, no doubt. One more pretty warm day here today, then a little bit of a cool down there on Wednesday, and then bigger cool down there as we go through Thursday and Friday. Now, 6 to 10 day, this makes sense with what we just looked at with the troughing setting up shop here off the west coast of North America. Got that below normal signal showing up as we go through October 16th. And I throw that out. I don't know what that is, that little below normal signal there. You saw some of those rainfall amounts on some of the extended forecasts there. So, take that with a grain of salt for sure. In the 8 to 14 day there, we'll see about that. I debated even showing it right now, but just kind of showing it to be consistent. And check it out. Over the last 2 months, again, look at Orange County right there in Los Angeles County. Big deficit compared to what is going on across some other portions of Ventura and Santa Barbara County. Got much more precipitation. Kern County, a big bullseye there actually of some lower than normal also. And yes, doing pretty decent there for a lot of California over the last 2 months. But Mother Nature forgot to include Los Angeles and Orange County. So hopefully maybe Priscilla can bring some rainfall here over the next couple of days. And this is the temperature. The vast majority of the state has been above normal, and some places significantly so. Some places you can see have been slightly below normal. And check out the Patreon page if you like. Hopefully you guys can take a look at that video that I put out yesterday as well. If I go back to that, you can see it down here, the 2025 California Wind Event. We were out there having some fun there in San Diego County last January with some strong easterly winds. We had 103 mile per hour gusts, so check out our response to that. Some weather nerds out there in a rental car having some fun. So anyway, I'll wrap this up. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.